I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
He was gobbling fucking wieners and buns.
I'm gonna go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's gonna happen on Saturday.
Alright, we're back this week, MMA Analysis. I'm your host, Jay Primetown. We got a three-man crew this week. Maybe we'll see the Sodsman who, is taking a little, looks like we're taking a week off. First, I'll introduce you to, look who's back, the Canadian teenager. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Hopefully the Hog draws Wes to the podcast this week. We need him to do some awesome Hog analysis for his favorite.
Speaking of Hogs, I heard some on the radio today about some asshole in Seattle went to the bathroom in their house and there was like a 4-foot boa constrictor sitting in the toilet.
What the fuck?
Talk about frightening. I mean, I'm not particularly afraid of snakes, but I mean, sitting down. I mean, yeah. I mean, they are constrictors. I mean, they may not be poisonous, but
that's like the nightmare
scenario,
bro.
What?
That's like the trope nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
Fucking snake coming out of the toilet. Like what?
Oh, that is terrible.
Nah.
Fuck that noise.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's like a shark in a lake, bro. Yeah, like no.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Exactly. So Nushan, you had your Thanksgiving last month, so I guess last Thursday was just like a normal Thursday for you?
Yeah, it was just at work, watching some football while doing some computer work and shit like that. It was just a normal Thursday, except there's a shit ton of football on.
Sounds nice.
It was a good day, yeah.
And Dougie's with us this week. I assume he's got another medal or two to share, but if he doesn't, I'm sure he's got some sort of Thanksgiving story. Unlike the Canadian who just
I
football.
do have a medal. I did get a medal, I think, since last time I was on. And,
or two?
No, I think just one. I just was at one, but I got the shit choked out of me, and then I choked the shit out of a guy. So it was a good one. But yeah, that'll happen. But
and then did you do some jiu-jitsu, or are we just talking about the bedular activities going on?
Bedular activities.
Mm-hmm.
No jiu-jitsu.
Oh, okay, that's what I figured.
Fuck.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't have much to say after that.
Yeah, the Canadian kept you quiet. That's fine. Anyway, there was a fight card last weekend. For those, I won't stress it enough, but it certainly started early for us in the States, and that's fine because I think it's extremely weird if you're in a local market and like your MMA events start at 9:00 in the morning. I think that's bizarre. So, and I mean, that's just me, but that's not really something I would want to do. Like, go to a venue at 7 or 8 a.m. and see people get punched in. Definitely a better night experience. So yeah, it was in their market. They're in China. I guess it was prime time. In the United States, it started at like 4 a.m. Eastern time, and it was an interesting card to say the least. A ton of preliminary fights with very little fanfare. I'll run through those results. Cyril Asker for second round submission of Hu Yao Zhang. Rolando Dai defeated Waliji Buren by decision.
Are we really doing this?
I'll just read the results. I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Gina Mazzani, decision over Wu Yanan. Then the supposed best Twitter account in MMA, not named Derek Lewis, goes into the cage with Shamil Abdurkahimov. and gets KO'd inside of 2 minutes.
Yeah, hold on. That guy apparently was like calling this Russian a girl or saying he fights like a girl, and then he got knocked out running away.
He
got knocked out running away. Like, oh, the irony.
Not a good look.
The irony.
He's not that good at fighting.
No.
Song Yadong looks decent for a Chinese fighter, I know.
His dong looks what?
Yeah. Defeated something called Bharat Kandari by submission first round. Kaelin Curran loses yet again in the UFC. Unanimous decision to Yan Yanan. I think I got that right. Not a good day for the MMA Analysis consensus. Bobby Nash getting KO'd in 15 seconds against Song Kanan. Yikes. But one fight to touch on, the Fight Pass preliminary portion of the card. Zabit Magasharipov just ran through Shayman Moraes, won every round clearly, and then subbed him with a beautiful anaconda late third round. So since you saw this fight, Nushan, tell me what you think. How far is this guy going to go?
Well, before we gush over Zabit, I'll just couple of things on the Bobby Nash. That was terrible. He did get dropped, obviously, but literally every punch that got landed on the ground, like 12 of them, was to the back of the head. Nobody said shit. Herb Dean was just right there watching it. I made a gif of it. It was fucking all to the back of the head. Regardless, Bobby Nash should not get dropped by Song Kanan. As for Zabit, that dude's the real. Like you said, I took a tiny stab at Moraes just to see. Moraes,
never again.
Well, we'll see who he matches up against, but this guy seems like he has pretty much everything. He showed the wrestling, the sub game, the positional game on the ground. The striking was there. Got hit a couple times and took it fine. This guy is going to be fucking good. He is already good. And I think you said that we kind of need to fast track him. Featherweight's pretty tough. I mean, I wouldn't mind. Like, I know we hate when they throw new guys to the wolves too early, but I mean, this guy is really fucking good. So he definitely should have a top 15 bordering on top 10 fight next. And then,
how about Jeremy Stevens?
That's a good fight, man. That's a good fight for him. Yeah,
I should do that.
What about the fight that he called for?
Who did he call out again?
Yair Rodriguez.
See, that's not fair. I mean, that's good for Zabit to get because I mean people know who Yair is, but Yair needs to have a bounce back fight. He doesn't need to get destroyed again.
See, I don't think that fight gets made because I think they know the result. But personally, I would line Zabit like a 3-1 favorite in the fight.
Yep.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
Like
he's
in my head.
45, right?
Yep.
What about Volkanovski?
I don't think they're going to push Volkanovski. Volkanovski's pretty good, though.
Because he's not young either. Volkanovski's not.
Volkanovski could beat Yair Rodriguez, too, though.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Just throwing darts.
I don't mind that Jeremy Stevens fight, though. That gets him a name fighter, a guy that's in the top 10 or close to it. I mean, that'd be a fun fight for however long it lasted.
Moicano.
Yeah, it's not bad either. Is he ranked? He should be ranked, eh?
I just know he beat Stevens and then he took him out.
What they really should do is make Yair versus Duho Choi.
Yeah, but Duho's hurt, right?
Maybe. Or you're thinking of the zombie who's always hurt.
I want Zabit needs another win because I want to see all the next fights. I want to see Cub.
He could kill Dennis Bermudez.
Oh God,
Bermudez is ranked 11th.
You could do Moicano versus Bermudez, or they already did that. No, they didn't do that yet.
Yeah, anywhere in that range, Zabit's got skills. He's at a good camp. This guy's going to be in the top 5 pretty quickly, I think.
I think he might have top 5 talent.
Yeah,
not sure is there. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But he can do a little bit of everything. He can can certainly strike. He's got a lot of technical ability, and his grappling is pretty. He basically blankets people.
Dougie getting it.
Dougie's...
Dude, I can't fucking stop.
Anyway, so that's that. Main card, Muslim Salikov came in with a ton of hype. He had me fooled a little bit. Alex Garcia maybe has the best performance of his UFC career. Subs that dude pretty impressively. Second round. Wang Guan split decisions over Alex Caceres. So the Kung Fu Lightning of Caceres and Salikov go 0-2 on the card. And then the co-main event, China Goat, Li Jiangalang, first round TKO Zach Otto.
Hell yeah.
And with that, you know how many wins Jiangalang has in a row in the UFC now?
It's like
4 wins in a row.
Oh,
4 in a row.
That's pretty good.
5 out of 6 for Jiangalang.
Yep.
He KO'd Diego Lima, big whoopee. Then he got subbed by Keita Nakamura in a fight he should have won.
Mm-hmm.
Then KO'd something called Anton Zafir, KO'd Bobby Nash, beat Frank Camacho, KO'd Zach Otto. I get it. It's not the most impressive list of names, but
yeah, but there's no sense in rushing that guy because, I mean, he is a good Chinese fighter. He could, I don't know, headline the next Chinese card or co-headline the next Chinese card like he did here.
Yeah.
Keep giving him winnable fights, right?
I like it. I'm for it. He's good.
Yeah,
thoughts on those?
Let him beat up Court McGee or something like that.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
that's a name that he
sounds like
beat up on a fight night in China or something like that.
That sounds like the next thing to do over Zach Otto, beat up
right?
Court McGee or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
An even older, slower guy, but he just got a bigger name.
Yeah.
Or it could be like a Japanese fighter, or like, I don't know. Maybe they go with like a country China has a rivalry
or a
with.
Korean dude,
and
then do one of those, and then have a fucking slobber knocker against like, what's the big ass Korean dude's name?
Oh, Hyung-Yu Lim.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awesome! I'm all for that.
Great fight, yeah.
Wow, that's really actually love that.
Yeah.
Remember when Hyung-Yu Lim like came in and like had that like 5-rounder with Tarek Safady and he could barely walk at one point?
Yep.
Yeah, that was fucking bad.
that was something. And then he got yeah. And then we'll talk about the main event. This shouldn't come as too much of a surprise because we were talking about it throughout the show last week. Kelvin Gastelum with mega hand speed advantage against Michael Bisping. It was literally like something out of a Mortal Kombat game. Or it was more like a Matrix kind of thing. Bisping misses with the one hand, and then it was like in slow motion. You see Gastelum tap him with the right just to move Bisping's head to the other side, and then just pulverize him with the left, and then finish on the ground. One of the most beautiful knockouts of the year. It was artistry. It was awesome. New Sean, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's what we expected. It's what a lot of people expected. I kind of hate when everybody on Twitter is on the same side. There weren't many that I saw on Bisping, if any. But sometimes you take the gifts the book / people give you. Gastelum inside the distance in the like -150 range. Like, are you kidding me? This was just bad. This is bad on the UFC. This is bad on Bisping's management to let him fight. Like, is that brain cells, another concussion worth the payday? I don't know. That was it was a bad thing that happened, but Gastelum continues to put old man heads on his trophy rack, and I don't know which one's going to be next, but Gastelum's an awesome fighter. He's got wicked hands. He obviously just lost to Weidman, so size can rule him at the very top end, but that hand speed is very nice.
So, Dougie, do you think that Kelvin Gastelum could beat Robert Whittaker?
No.
No. Why not?
He would try to fight Whittaker's game, and Whittaker's better at it than him.
Yeah, that definitely would be a similar kind of a thing.
Yeah, I don't. Whittaker doesn't fuck around.
Gastelum might have a better chin, though.
Yeah, Whitaker's doesn't have that's not the worst stylistic matchup against Gastelum. Like, I think Weidman is bad just because of the wrestling, right? And even Rockhold, he could probably wrestle him, but
Rockhold has that chin that's like,
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the Rockhold matchup would be very interesting. The Gastelum
what
fight
was with Gastelum fucking having trouble making 185?
It was Thanksgiving. It was close to Thanksgiving, man. What do you expect? He likes to eat.
He's like Johnny Hendricks likes to eat.
Yeah,
he's way younger.
If he has to fight at 185, he's gonna fucking weigh 186. Like, I'm not gonna come in light. I like to eat.
Gross.
Yeah, it's not good. But this guy should be at 170 and should be fighing for the belt.
Yeah.
He took Tyron Woodley to a fucking split decision. Yeah.
My wife wanted to see the fight because she likes Bisping, and she remembered Gastelum from the Weidman fight, and then after the fight she's like, "How is this fat guy so good?"
the pudgy dude. Fighting
he is
way too high.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're really gonna have Whitaker, fight in Australia, which makes a lot of sense at that pay-per-view in February. Who do you think he faces? I mean, for me, it's either going to be Gastelum or Rockhold.
It's got to be Rockhold. I don't think they're going to put Gastelum.
Does it have to be?
Well, I just think that's the way they're leaning, and I don't really know what else they would do.
I think Rockhold would be the rightful challenger, but I don't know if that's going to be the case.
What happened in Jacare's last fight?
He got smoked by Whitaker.
Yeah, he hasn't fought since then, and he's fighting Derek Brunson likely in February, end of January, start of February. Yeah, so there's not really much for choices. So it's got to be Rockhold or Gastelum, and Gastelum just lost to Weidman, so
you're not doing a YOLO rematch.
Yeah, and they're not doing that, so. Seems like it's going to be Rockhold. There's not really a better option.
Stupid that it's not GSP.
He's never going to fight.
He doesn't want it.
I know, it's stupid.
It's very stupid. Because why couldn't Bisping and St. Pierre just fight without a title on the line?
Well, because titles don't matter. We've been over this.
But they could have fought without the title, and then this whole
then it doesn't mean anything.
What happened.
According to
it didn't need to mean anything though.
GSP wasn't going to fight unless it was for a title, because it was more about him winning a second title, whether it's against Bisping, so it doesn't really mean jack shit, but it's still in the history books as he's a 2-weight champion, so that's kind of why they had to do it. And there was no way he was coming back unless it was for a belt. Or for that belt, anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole situation's fucky.
I agree. I don't like it. But here we are. My take is he doesn't ever fight at middleweight again. But I don't know. Unless there's something.
He's gonna fight McGregor.
The way Dana keeps talking is like it was written in his contract that he had to defend the title if he wanted.
Which he said that as well, but that doesn't mean jack shit. If he says, I'll fight McGregor at 170, they're gonna fucking do it.
They could do both.
Just because Dana says, I'll be super pissed. Yeah, so what? GSP doesn't give a fuck.
Dana saying something means almost the opposite.
Yeah.
So
I know. Don't listen to that idiot. So there's 2 fight cards this weekend. Big opportunities for those still in the Toutmaster competition to make some moves. Most of the fights haven't been announced. There are a couple interesting matchups. I don't know if Sean, if you want to touch on any of those. Dougie, I don't know. I doubt you want to touch on any of them, but
I'll be honest and say that I didn't even know that there was 2 fight cards this weekend.
That's because it's the shitty straw weight Ultimate Fighter finale that nobody gives a shit about, and there's only
flyweight
or flyweight, not featherweight.
Sorry,
flyweight.
Oh, this is that fucking woman's fucking Ultimate Fighter, isn't it?
And there's just an absolute shit ton of fights from the girls
And
that
women's
were on the
MMA
card.
is so bad that Roxanne Modafferi is one of the good ones.
She's in the semis.
Holy
She might be a finalist.
She might be fighting for a title if she
Well,
wins.
I prefaced it as she's one of the good ones.
It's such a joke because I feel like there are like 7 or 8 fighters in the strawweight division currently that would just ruin anyone in this flyweight tournament.
I think that there's going to be something that happens at some point in women's MMA, and I'm not sure when it's going to happen.
What does that even mean?
Like
something's going to happen?
No. Hold on. Just hear me out here for a second, because you'll get where I'm going.
All
the
right.
most dominant group of like person in any Olympic sport right now is Japanese women in wrestling. They win 70% of all the medals and 50% of the golds for the last 3 or 4 Olympics. That's when it got introduced.
All weight classes?
Everything.
Okay.
One of these women is going to come over and just start fucking bodying women, like body slamming women, bitches, and just holding them down and beating the fuck out of people. And it's going to happen at some point. But it's going to be like the Dagestani thing, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, what the fuck? Like a different physicality.
Yeah.
Different physicality. Where the like judo women that are trying to like hip toss women just know, and they're just going to get to their back and just soup them or something like that.
Well, they had Sarah McMahon in wrestling, but she came over too late.
Yeah,
She
but
was
she
too
came
late.
late.
Yeah.
She came late, and it's not like, I bet you Sarah McMahon won a silver medal. I bet you she lost to a Japanese woman. That won gold. I bet. Because there's a woman that had won like 4 straight Olympic golds or something like that. Yeah. It's just a little weird side note. But I bet at some point that happens in women's MMA, and some Japanese woman just comes and starts wrecking people.
So the thought is that Roxanne is going to lose.
She did. She lost to someone called Kaori Iko.
And so
who's from Japan.
And you're talking about that. But for the Ultimate Fighter finale, the one lady that's in the final her record is 3-2 with one, and she's coming off a loss. And the other fighter who Roxanne is probably going to lose to tomorrow night, she's also 3-2 coming off a loss. So we're going to have a champion that's 3-2 coming off a loss.
Wait, this is for the champion?
Yes, they made the tough fucking flyweight for the title.
Which is shameful in my opinion.
It's fucking with the last one?
Because we all know who the actual champion would be.
Shevchenko's going to be the champ within
6
months. It's fucking pointless that they
or
even have
Joanna.
This. Yeah, if she moved up, but
way bigger.
Yeah, it's
Not
one
way
of them.
Right. But Joanna's probably going to be fighting Rose again, and if she beats her, then I guess she probably won't go up yet. Maybe
just an absolute waste of time. We got just trash fighters on this season.
Yeah, because we know this fighter is going to be champion for just this bout and is not defending it.
Yeah.
Will not win the title defense. It's a waste. I agree.
Yeah, it's pointless. As for the other fights on this card, I think O'Malley's a little bit inflated just because people like him and he smoked weed with Snoop after he won his fight on Dana White's Contender Series and shit like that. Tyrion Ware's a bit tough, but he probably loses. So I'm not playing it. Brett Johns versus Joe Soto. The numbers come down. I think that's smart. Soto was too big of a dog, but I'm not playing it. Any thoughts, Jay?
I mean, Meerkat versus Spicely could be somewhat interesting in terms of a grappling, grappling expose. Maybe Dougie has some thoughts on that. I don't know.
I know they're both grapplers. I don't know much about either one's game, but you just hope it's not
doesn't turn into a striking fight.
Yeah. Who is Soto fighting again?
Brett Johns, the
Wales.
That could be a really interesting grappling match too.
Yeah.
Yeah, who can get the best there? Yeah.
Yeah, because Soto's absurdly good grappler, and Brett Johns has like a takedown-oriented kind of control game. And
he's got a good power double. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's a better wrestler than Soto either. So
I don't know yet either. That's a good point.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting fight. Those are good fights.
Andrew Sanchez should run through Ryan James. I would be surprised if he didn't.
They're just trying to get Sanchez a win there because Ryan James is an absolute plug, and he will be cut after this loss.
Yeah, he's one of the worst fighters in that division, and he's Canadian, so that says a lot too.
Yeah.
And then, I think you're kind of right about that news, Sean, about O'Malley. I mean, he was certainly impressive on the Contender Series. People were like kind of in awe of his kind of striking prowess. He's super tall for the weight class, really rangy, but he can be taken down pretty easily. He has like no ground game. Maybe Tyrion Ware is not the guy who can really kind of exploit that, as he's more of a boxer. But I think this is kind of like a hype. O'Malley's certainly hyped, and that's why the line is where it is, because I lined it around about minus 215. And I think last I saw he was like minus 275 or so. So it's certainly ballooned a bit. But so for me, that's a little bit of a buyer beware. But I mean, he's really young, 23. Really nice striking game, but I need to see more before he should be 3-1 favorites in bouts. Anyway, let's move over to the Detroit
good card.
The good card, UFC 218. Why we're all here. Let's start it off with the first bout of the night. Oh, and here we go. One of Dougie's favorites, Angela Magana she's back. She is back. Facing off against Amanda Bobby Cooper.
She's still in the fucking UFC?
She hasn't fought for like 2.5 years or something?
I will let you know when the last time it was definitely against Waterson. It was July 12th, 2015. She's lost 4 fights in a row, 2 in a row in the UFC. This is her last shot at glory. She's 34 years old.
Yeah, I doubt it was her last shot at glory.
On her wiki page, it says... there's other parts of California she can go to for that kind of glory.
Yeah.
It's on her wiki page. It says her style is street fighting. I had to laugh.
She said her boxing's she's gonna tune up Cooper with her boxing. That's hilarious.
Oh, man.
You're up first.
I'm not breaking down this card. My question is, how did she get like 11 wins in her career? Like, was she actually fighting?
She was fighting in like Asia. She was fighting in like Thailand.
Was that before she got butt implants?
Maybe. Who
and now she can move a little better. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not gonna bet Cooper minus 370 on a women's fighter and a women's fighter of Amanda Cooper's talent. I know Mangana is terrible, but not a chance. And I'm not playing the over because Mangana is a fucking quitter too.
Are you calling her Mangana now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Doug, you do care? Is there any way Magana could win?
Sure.
Oh, man.
Cooper could slip on a banana peel. Like, fuck. The
I feel like
she could throw the blue spiky shell from way behind.
I feel like losing is contagious, and her butt buddy Beck Rawlings can't win fights, and they're just gonna. There's gotta be so much negative karma going on that neither can win.
Man,
yeah,
that's a hell of a fight to start the awesome card.
Yeah, well, that's the worst fight on the card. But anyway, my grades on those were Cooper D+, Magana D-. Cooper way younger.
Cooper should
more skilled.
Yeah,
and she should beat the hell out of her. I agree, but yeah, the line is probably close to where it really should be, but nobody wants to admit that. Yeah, but Cooper is currently at 5 dimes, minus 400. Magana plus 325.
Jesus.
Anyway, next bout up. This one doesn't really mean much either. Heavyweights, Alan Crowder making his UFC debut. I believe he came from the Contender Series as well, coming up against Justin Willis. We won't break this one down, but I will ask Nushan the all-important heavyweight question. Are fatties going to fatty here?
I mean, there is a lot of fat going on in here. It is minus 140. So it is a little
7.5 minutes.
For 7.5?
It seems
12.5.
likely.
That
For
doesn't-
7.5 or 12.5?
seems-
Oh, it's a 1.5 total.
That seems fantastic.
It's just minus 140.
Just look
Or
at
is
that
it
crowd.
usually better than that?
Well, yeah, usually fatty, we're trying to get some plus money.
Crowder has 2 losses in his career. One was to Curtis Blades, and that fight went 6.5 minutes. And then he got KO'd. That was in 2015. He has another KO loss in 2015. That one went 11.5 minutes. So he's never been finished in the first round. I mean, I guess that
and he
means
won in the
something.
third on the Contender Series.
And Willis won his last fight by decision against James Mulheron, and he doesn't really seem to have like huge power.
Yeah,
this is interesting.
That seems like the way to go in this fight. I don't know who the hell's going to win, but there is probably going to be plenty of fattying flying around in that ring.
Yeah. Next bout up, Jeremy Kimball. I believe he won his last UFC fight. He's 1-1, coming up against a guy I really like, Dominic Reyes, Nushan.
Our friend Trish says that I look like Jeremy Kimball, but I don't know about that one.
A little bit.
When I grow my beard, I look like real fucking Amish, and that's kind of what Kimball looks like. But I have no muscle on my body, so that's a bit of a difference there. Yeah, Reyes is he's a pretty good fighter. You know, he put it on Christensen last time. He's got a shit ton of first round finishes. This could be a fun fight. I don't really think too much of Kimball. Obviously, Reyes is a minus 400 favorite, so he probably should do work. Totals at 1.5, pretty much even money. I think you got to go with Reyes, but minus 400, I think there's better spots on this card.
Any care in the world for this one, Dougie?
Negative.
I didn't think so. I got Kimball a D-, Reyes a C-. I'm pretty high on Reyes, honestly. Former collegiate athlete, college football player, really long for the weight class, athletic. Kimball, he looked pretty good in his last bout, but I just think there's a big athleticism and skill advantage, and he's going to get lit up by just a more talented fighter here.
What weight class is this?
Light heavyweight.
Didn't Kimball go up to light heavyweight also? Isn't he a 185er basically that decided he didn't want to?
Well, it's kind of pudgy.
Kind of a fat 205er, yeah.
Smart. You definitely want to fight at 205. You don't want to fight at 185.
Yeah, why would you want? I mean 205.
205.
Sure.
You're 2 wins away from a fucking title shot.
Exactly. That's why Vulcan did it.
Yeah. And then he got a third. And then he got a third knockout, and now he doesn't have one anymore.
Well, he might get it still, Dean.
Yeah, he's probably still gonna get it because the UFC is so fucking. They need a fight for Cormier so bad that they'll slip some money underneath the table to whoever they need to keep him in that fight
for that guy, so they can sell 90. So they can sell 90 pay-per-views.
You betcha. You know it's bad when.
Yeah.
They should put Oth in it.
Fight Pass headliner, and I think this will be. I think after that, it becomes a pretty damn good card. But this fight should be entertaining. I think Abdul Razak Al Hassan, cousin of the great Bobby Razak, taking on Sabah Homasi. Don't know if you guys remember his debut against Timmy Means, but it was entertaining while it lasted. Nushan.
Homasi was on The Ultimate Fighter, I'm pretty sure, wasn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah, he's
I forget which one because there's been so many.
Yeah, there's been fucking 300 of them. He's not good. He
was on the American Top Team versus Black Zillions one.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, he's not that good. He lasted longer than I thought he would against Tim Means, so he's got a bit of toughness. Al Hassan lost finally for the first time in his career. Everybody was pretty hyped up on him, so I think the number might be a little bit lower because now people are going in the opposite direction, but he should probably tool up Homasi. The skill difference is pretty wide in this fight.
And athleticism difference.
Oh, big time.
Anything to share on this one, Douglas?
No, except every time I hear the Abdul Razak guy, I think of the guy that got his arm just broke to shit in
Like
the
Cantwell?
UFC. That had
Why?
the same. Don't they have the same name? It's a real similar name. I can't remember the guy's name that Cantwell broke his arm,
right?
but Cantwell was the one that broke his arm. And he got up and he was all hyper. He was like, "Fuck yeah!" And then everybody was like, "Bro, that guy's elbow like went backwards." Like,
yeah, that was Razak Al Hassan.
Yeah.
Wait, what? He had the same name?
Yep, Razak Al Hassan.
Yeah, that's why. Because I remember the first time I heard of this new guy was like, "What? That motherfucker's back!" Like, oh shit! And then it was not the guy. And but that's all I can remember about it.
It's always good when that happens.
Hassan, Razak Al Hassan fought for Bellator in 2015, and then he fought in 2016.
He had one fight. Yep.
And hasn't fought since.
Yeah, Bellator is weird like that. They'll like sign like a dude on their undercard for one fight, like just to cover an event and like pay him like $3,000 and then like not re-sign them even though they're talent.
Yeah, and even if they win sometimes their next fight's not in Bellator. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, Bellator is weird because they put like so many goddamn fighters on their undercard. It's unbelievable.
Well, they fill their undercard with local talent.
But like a ton, like 15 fights.
That's how they sell all their tickets.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, but
but then when they don't go back to Thackerville for fucking 4 months, then that guy doesn't get on another, and then that guy takes a fight at Wild Bill's fucking underground barn fights or something,
or Titan or something.
Yeah, and then gets a win, and then has another fight in Bellator when they come back.
Or he gets signed by an organization that actually give him a multi-fight contract. Like here. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Anyway, I got Homasi at D, Alisson at D+, kind of like the fight before it. There's just a speed and athleticism difference in a fight where it should be really pretty much a stand-up the entire time. I'll take speed and athleticism over, kind of like toughness most of the time, especially a guy that, probably isn't that good in the first place. So, Alisson, I think, gets the win here, probably by finish, but he's not, I guess, really tremendous himself. So, this will be a win, but
he had a lot of hype, though.
Why? Yeah,
but it's weird because he's like,
how
32 years
MMA fans get all hyped up for guys with foreign-sounding last names
and flashy striking.
With flashy striking,
or if they're Canadian.
It's true. It's fucking
that's just journalist, Dougie.
Like C- level athletes. Like, oh man, this guy's going to be so good, eh?
It's a new GSP.
Like Elias. Oh my God, he's gonna be a star. He's got the look. He's got the talent.
Record.
Coming on. Remember what they said about Chad Laprise? Oh man.
What are you talking about?
No,
he's
the best one. No, the best one. Rama. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen with Rama.
Oh yeah. Didn't he lose to Hani Marks?
He loses to fucking everybody. He never even made it.
Never even made it to UFC. He was stuck in WSOF.
Yeah, or whatever they call it now, PFFL. He fought on that Daytona Beach card that was like in the rain, and like the whole canvas was wet. Where the canvas was wet, and everybody was just like, it was like slip and slide in there.
It's fucking silly.
It is. Moving up to the televised portion of the card. This is one of the better 9-fight televised cards I can remember. Starting off, women's fight though, Dougie. Courtney Casey and one of your girls, Felice Herrig. Sean, let's start it off. What do you think?
How the hell has Herrig won 3 in a row? I mean,
how the hell is Herrig one of my girls?
I don't know. Like she might be.
I'm like offended.
You should be.
Yeah. No.
Dougie,
I think everybody's good on that. I guess with how skilled strawweight is, that's how Felice Herrig has 3 wins in a row.
She's fought pretty well. I got to give her credit. Like, her game plans were not bad in these bouts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
she's improved. She's actually
definitely
made
improved.
Yeah, I can't hate on her too much. Unlike her girlfriend, Carla Esparza. Not like real girlfriend, but, you know, her BFF. Yeah. I'll let you start it off. Who do you think wins?
I have no idea. I mean,
it's tough to call, isn't it?
I really don't know what Courtney Casey is. She seems like she has something sometimes, and then she also loses to Seo Hee Ham. Like,
when was that?
That was in 2015.
That's a long time. Well, not a long time ago. She's got some pretty good wins.
Yeah, I mean, she beat that Stanchu chick in the first round, Marcos in the first round, lost to Claudia, which is fine, and then she beat Jessica Aguilar. So, I mean, seems like she's beat who she's supposed to and lost to who she's supposed to, other than the Ham loss. But like you said, that's been a while ago. I don't know. I'll take the dog in Toutmaster and hopefully Casey subs Herrig.
Dougie.
Casey is pretty good. I think she's probably
You think?
Beats her up. Yeah, I wouldn't bet this fight, but
she's plus 130.
Yeah, but it's fucking women's MMA.
I'm aware. Believe me, I know.
She's got a big size advantage in this bout.
Yeah, that's
over
what
Herrig.
I remember. Like, I bet she goes to 125 eventually. I remember her being fucking huge compared to Aguilar, and she's just one of those girls that I think gets better every time. Also, and she was like markedly improved in her last bout, and I kind of have a feeling she'll do the same thing again here. But I'm not very confident in it.
Well, she was a Division I soccer player, so certainly an athlete.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
I know
Good
she
skills.
supports this local charity from around here also, which is super random. Like, I just remember it from her last fight because she actually like called it out during her like post-fight speech. But
I don't know where she trains. I forget.
That's one of the few reasons I remember her.
But yeah, I mean, the size advantage I think is key here. What should be kind of like I expect to be kind of a grinding bout because Herrig is going to force it that way. Casey in the past has kind of struggled with some of her wrestling aspects, but she kind of seemed to show real improvements against Aguilar in that regard. And I just think it's going to be tough for Herrig. I mean, she's had success in some recent bouts, kind of taking advantage of some girls who, quite frankly, couldn't grapple, like what's her name from Mexico, Alexa Grasso, and she beat up Justine Kish, who's really not that good, and she got a win over Curran. So, I think she's facing a different kind of fight here, and I kind of agree with Dougie. I think she's probably going to beat her up. I grade them both a C plus though, but I think Herrig's more towards a C. And she's also 33, while Casey's only 30. It seems like in women's MMA, the age spectrum is certainly shorter. So 33 for a woman is more like 37 for a man, I feel, in terms of when they kind of start to fade. I think it might be time where Herrig kind of starts to fade in this sport. So I'll take Casey in this bout. Next fight up, I think this is a really interesting bout. Lightweight, David Tamer and Drakkar Klose, I believe, is an MMA Lab product, right, Nushan?
You betcha. Yeah. So you know who's going to be betting on the pup on that one.
You think after he makes weight, you think he's probably going to go out for a chicken parm dinner?
You know that's the after weigh-in meal. That's the sponsored meal after weigh-ins at the lab.
I would suspect that's the case.
Yeah, it would have to be, right?
Yeah.
Tamer kind of came out of nowhere. I know he was on the Ultimate Fighter. He did okay on there, but he ended up losing, obviously, before the finals. But he beat Lando Venata. Now, Venata gave him a fight exactly kind of what Tamer wants, which is just a pure striking matchup. Close kind of has a more rounded game where he can mix up some takedowns maybe. So I'm not sure if Tamer's going to be able to, put him away or keep Close off of him. I think he's a much better striker, obviously, than Close, but I'm not. Who knows what Tamer's ground game is, if it's got better since the Ultimate Fighter or what. I think this fight might be a little bit closer than what the odds say. I'll pick Close in Toutmaster, but I got money other places that I really like, so no bet on Close.
Dougie.
This is a good fight. I was on Tamer when he beat Venata, but I don't know if he's going to be able to deal with Close, and I think he was a good wrestler out of Michigan, like in high school, and I have a feeling he's just going to be able to hold him down.
He was a state champion in wrestling, actually. Yeah, out of Western Michigan.
Yeah. So I think he can fall back on that against a European dude.
Yeah, this is tough for me because I actually rate Tamer higher overall. I think his skill set could be intriguing against some higher level fighters, as I think his I guess his strongest skills are actually really good. Just kind of his stand up and his variety he's able to offer, and his technical ability is super high. But we don't know a lot about some of the other aspects of him. While Close is kind of like that typical MMA lab kind of guy, like a Barbarina, who's kind of going to throw the kitchen sink at you, make you fight, kind of take it to the limit and see what you have to offer. He's not super technical on the feet. I mean, he has some grappling aspects. I mean, so I think this is a tough fight to call. I could kind of see it going either way, despite kind of grading Tamer, a higher grade overall. So I lean towards Tamer because I think his takedown defense might be a little better than what people think, but this won't be easy for him. Next bout up, here we go. We got one of Lance Fischel's. We got like the back-to-back like Lance Fischel Brazil special here. We got the Hawaiian Yancy Medeiros taking on Alex Cowboy Oliveira. New Sean.
I'm big on Cowboy in this fight. I expected the line to be a lot closer to -300 than -200. I got him at -215. I think Cowboy just keeps on getting better. That knockout of Ryan LaFleur when Ryan LaFleur had never been finished. Coming back after the no contest and beating Tim Means was impressive. Bullying Will Brooks. Granted, he did miss weight there, but still, that is... Cowboy just keeps getting better and better. I definitely can't say the same thing about Yancy Medeiros. I mean, he's won his last 2 fights, but right before that, he got absolutely smashed by Grandpa Trinaldo. And Eric Silva is just a ghost at this point, so there's nothing much there. I think Cowboy's going to be able to outstrike him, grind on him, pretty much do whatever he wants. I think this is a steal at the line, and I laid it at -215.
Dougie.
I like Cowboy here. I think he's just better everywhere than Yancy. He seems to be able to have a game plan, whereas I feel like Yancy just kind of goes and does shit, and he's good at it, and he's athletic, and he's a strong dude, but I don't think Yancy's really executing something as much as kind of just fighting and feeling it out, whereas you can tell Cowboy's pushing the dude up against the fence and working the dude over and then getting a takedown late, and he's scoring points, and he's
building to something.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I I think he's a little bit better everywhere. Like I like him. He's a good fighter.
I got Cowboy B minus, Yancey a C. So here's the best wins. Here are the wins actually that Yancey Medeiros had in the UFC. I'll read them off. The ones that counted. Damon Jackson, Joe Proctor, John McDessie, Sean Spencer, and most recently Eric Silva.
Yeesh.
Okay? And now for Alex Oliveira, okay? Hear me out. You got KJ Nunes, Joe Merritt, who we haven't heard from again, Peter Hallman, James Moonpie, and then he kind of really turned a corner after that. So you're going to talk about Will Brooks, Tim Means, Ryan LaFleur. Yeah. I mean, just the caliber of those wins. I mean, I hate to break it down as easily as that, but Yancey has never been – I don't know if Yancey beats any of those – well, Will Brooks, I mean, well, besides, you know how that is, but Yancey hasn't been a guy of any of those caliber of guys. And I think he's really at a physical disadvantage here. Strength advantage for Cowboy is night and day. Yancey really struggled with Francisco Trinaldo, who's kind of like a physically strong fighter even at lightweight compared to Yancey. I could see Yancey just getting ragdolled in this bout against Cowboy. Pushed against the cage, kind of beat up, thrown on the ground. I don't see how Yancey stops the takedowns. I really don't. I think the only way he wins is kind of like by like a fluke kind of submission that it kind of like gets kind of out of nowhere and would score that on Cowboy. But otherwise, I think he gets beat up and finished. I know he's a pretty tough dude, but Cowboy I think is just going to wear him down. And Cowboy's really improved his cardio his last few fights. I mean, how he looked against Tim Means in that bout was just really impressive. He just it was just really high pace and just ran through him. So I like Cowboy here a lot. I have him in a parlay with a fighter later on the card. And Nushan, I believe he's our first leg of one of our bets.
Yeah,
one of our consensus bets, right?
Cowboy is the first leg of a parlay of the five dimes bet of the week, and we're gonna lock him in at minus 200.
Awesome. Moving on up, televised portion of the card. It's the preliminary main event and a pretty intriguing fight here. With definitely some questionable line. Paul Felder, fighter turned analyst Paul Felder, going back to fighter Paul Felder, is the favorite over Charles Do Bronx Oliveira. Somebody's got to explain this to me. Nushan, what's going on here?
Felder seems to be, I don't know, just a guy that always seems to be overvalued. He, I don't know how many times he's been the favorite in his fights. I mean, he does have some wins, but I don't know. People like to back him. He seems to be the favorite a lot, but I don't get it here. He did look pretty impressive, and he had a finish that I did not see coming against Stevie Ray in his last fight, which was impressive. That elbow was ridiculous. But Do Bronx is fighting like the elite of 140 and 155. Do Bronx sub game is top 5 in the UFC. I don't think that's hard to see. He snatches shit out of nowhere when just nobody thinks it's coming. He snatches it. And his striking is coming along. It looked decent against Pettis before Pettis finished him. It looked okay against Ricardo Lamas, and it did all right against Will Brooks. Obviously before catching Will Brooks, because that's the thing to do these days. I like Do Bronx in this. I've never really been a Paul Felder fan. He likes to get hit and then show his angry face. He's been beat by fighters that probably shouldn't have beat him. I took Do Bronx at plus 125. Nothing big because Felder did look good in his last fight, and Do Bronx kind of does lose sometimes, even though he's doing well in fights. So nothing huge for me, but still got to play him at decent plus money.
Dougie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel really similar to the way Sean broke it down, and I just think that this line is off, and Felder he's always gotten love, and then now he's on TV talking, so he's going to get that kind of extra public push, I think, a little bit as well. Yeah, I feel like Do Bronx has a lot more ways to win, and we're probably going to see Felder get real mad and then try to punch him back. And I'm gonna get you.
They're just gonna get taken down
and like not cut the octagon off and chase him around, and then get taken down and play in his guard and try to get one back. And I think it's gonna go bad for him.
Yep.
Could be. Yeah, I don't get this line. I don't get it. I got Felder a C+, Do Bronx a B. I mean, Felder seems like another one of those fighters where he's like a flashy striker, and people seem to love that, and they overrate those guys just because they want them to do well because that's what's entertaining to them and that's what they like, and then they bet with their heart as opposed to their brain. I don't get it because Do Bronx is a pretty entertaining fighter in his own right. I mean, maybe not the best striker in the world, but he's fairly effective. He's surprisingly good at securing takedowns. I mean, way better than people give him credit for. And once he gets guys on the ground, he can sub even top level jiu-jitsu guys. He's shown it before. I think he's the only fighter ever to sub Hatsu Aoki, which is a pretty remarkable achievement. And I think Felder's going to be in trouble here. I mean, I don't see how he's not. Look at all the guys who Do Bronx has beaten. He hasn't lost to a non-elite guy, like a non-top 5 guy in his entire career in the UFC. I'm not sure what makes people believe Felder's going to be that guy. I mean, I guess, you never know what's going to happen, but I mean, I like to go with the guy who's much more reliable, the guy who's faced elite competition, the guy who's beaten quality borderline elite fighters, and he's got an ability to finish like few others on the ground. So I'll take Do Bronx in this fight at plus money. I've already bet him for 1 unit. I posted that on the Twitter earlier today, and Nushan, I believe he is also a consensus bet, right?
Yes, at plus 130 for half a unit.
That was a pretty damn good price for a better fighter. You don't really get that too often, where the better fighter is an underdog. So take it when you can. Moving on up to the main card, we got another chick fight, and who somebody posted on Twitter the other day as the best looking fighter in the women's weight classes, Tisha Torres.
Does that person like mustache rides, or what is the deal there?
I want to ride. Going against Michelle Waterson. Nushan, thoughts on this one?
This line is a lot more what it should be. I actually got Torres at minus 110, which is insane. When the line came out, people bet Waterson for some reason, and it got all the way down to 110. It didn't last there long, but I hit it for as much as I could. Now it's minus 230, which I think is more along the lines of what it should be.
People must hate themselves.
Yeah. I mean, the lines move because the limits are so small, but you just got to be ready and take advantage when people do stupid things.
10-unit bets.
I think Torres is just going to wrestle Waterson into the ground. I guess people liked Waterson's striking, but we know how these kind of fights go. Waterson's an atom weight. I know Torres isn't that big for strawweight.
She is.
But so Torres is going to have the size advantage. The wrestling advantage is going to be obscene. She's just going to dominate the wrestling. And
she's also a better striker.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, Waterson. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, she is.
Waterson's kind of known for those flashy strikes and stuff like that, but if there's no substance, who cares about the flashiness? So yeah, I like Torres in this. I think she's just going to wrestle her for 3 rounds. Maybe she'll grab a sub or something like that. Big on Torres at -110.
Dougie, I'm sure you got an opinion here.
Yeah, I can't believe what that line was. That's crazy. It's another one of those things where I think Torres has a process to what she does, and Waterson just goes and does shit. And Waterson could catch her in a guillotine maybe, or like a head kick maybe.
That would be stunning.
But like, what else is she gonna do? Like, so a couple spinny things and get her back taken and thrown on the ground and fucking held down for 3.5 minutes.
Hopefully.
I mean, or just get like kind of danced around and have her yell and throw jabs at her for 4.5 minutes at a time, and Tisha just wins by points because she's more active. But yeah, even at what it is now, it's still not a terrible piece or straight play in my opinion.
Torres just seems hungry to me. Way hungrier than Waterson at this point.
That was a bad beating that Waterson took last time. I was at that fight. And holy shit, that was rough to see after the fight.
That's a good point too. As it relates to that, tough to kind of come back from those kind of losses, in my opinion. I mean, Waterson's 5'3". She will have a height advantage here, but pretty much everyone does over Tisha Torres. I think that's accurate. I don't want to speak out of school. Yeah, Torres only 5'1". But somehow she's fought, like, super long fighters before, like Rose, and yeah, she lost the bout, but, like, wasn't completely dominated when she did that, so that doesn't really bother me. But she's way more active than Waterson. I think she's a better technical striker, just way better combination striker. She has some flash, but she just doesn't use it because she's just a much more smarter game plan. Like Dougie said, fights with a plan and what she wants to do. And I think that's really effective coming from American Top Team in general, even though she's moved out of there now. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good opportunity for Torres to get a name win. She could certainly grapple as well. Striking.
Is she at Knuckle Up now? Down in Georgia?
She went wherever her and her lady friend went. I thought they went out west.
Weird. Oh.
Yeah, I thought so.
I
thought they moved.
Thought I had heard something else, but maybe not. Maybe. I could be wrong.
But yeah, I'll take Torres in this bout. I like that original line, like I think most people did, but unlike Nushan, who seems to be the king of getting these
not always.
Seems like it. I don't know. You get more early lines. You're a better line jumper than Mr. Val Turdo. So, but I am not. So at this price, it's probably a pass for me. I kind of had her as like I don't know, -200, -210. Like I didn't have an exact number in my head, but that was kind of where I lined her. I think she's the better fighter. I have her as a B+, Waterson the B-. So there's a difference in the grades, but it's kind of moving to the point where, I'll pass because it likely goes to decision, and you just hate to bet fights. A winner of a bout was like a 2.5 to 1 favorite, and it's going to a decision. That's just like a weird and bad feeling. So there's a fighter on the card who's kind of at a similar price that I think is even a better bet, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Next fight up, and this should be a doozy.
Violencia.
We got former champion Eddie Alvarez going up against maybe the most entertaining fighter in mixed martial arts, Justin Gaethje. New Sean. Is there any way this disappoints besides like a 10-second knockout?
I mean, that could happen. I think it'll last a little bit longer, but I have a real hard time seeing this as a boring fight. Eddie's not going to be able to wrestle because Gaethje's wrestling is very good, even though he never shows it because he's just all about punching people's faces. This is a tough fight for Eddie. He could land something like he did against RDA where he just lands flush and can finish. Gaethje's chin seems to be degrading and he doesn't have great striking defense, so he's there to be hit. But man, Gaethje's offense is just ludicrous. He throws heat with his hands, he leg kicks, has cardio like nobody. This is going to be just violence for however long it lasts. I bet it doesn't go the distance at -170. I think it's gone up a bit since then, but I think somebody's going down in the first round, likely. Likely Eddie Alvarez is going to get knocked out. Just his chin is degrading as well, and it seems he's been in a lot of wars. He's a pretty aged fighter. He's been in a lot of wars, and Gaethje's offense is just insane.
Dougie, thoughts on this important bout?
Yeah, this this fight's insanity. I kind of feel like it's going to come down to durability. I think they're going to just come at each other like rams and just fucking go at it.
Hope so.
But
yeah, I hope so.
Like just each with one collar tie, throwing right hands like Fry Akiyama type stuff.
Hell yeah.
How do I explain this? I think like Alvarez's Batman, where he operates in the fire, but Gaethje is Bane, and he was fucking born in it, and that's just like where he prefers. It's not where he's willing to go. That's just where he is, and I don't think Alvarez can win that fight.
New Sean, can you interpret that for me?
I don't speak nerd, so I'm the wrong guy to
Yeah, neither do I. But I'm sure a lot of our audience is.
I like it, Dougie. It was good.
Yeah.
Well, what you're trying to say is that Eddie Alvarez can't win a firefight with Gaethje.
Yeah. I don't think he can.
Yeah, that's gonna
and
be hard.
I don't think he can help himself from putting himself into it.
Well, he doesn't really have many options. Like
Gaethje doesn't give you options.
Well, yeah, Gaethje doesn't give you options. Like Alvarez has kind of his first couple fights in the UFC, he kind of wrestled and did stuff like that. He can't do that against Gaethje, so he doesn't really have a choice here, and it's not going to be a good result, you know.
There's probably only one guy in the division who could actually avoid getting in a firefight with Gaethje.
It's Khabib.
There you go.
Yeah.
He might be the only one.
Or maybe someone like Edson that can stick him.
Yeah, I don't see that. Because you would have thought Michael Johnson could have been done that, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Edson's different, I think.
Yeah, but then
Edson,
it kind of did that to like Ferguson kind of walked through Edson as well.
It was about to get ragdolled again by Khabib, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. But that's here nor there. I have Alvarez at B+, but I have Gaethje an A. This dude's he's just relentless. To me, he was like my brother growing up. My brother was a couple of years younger than me, and we'd get like in fights all the time. And you know, I'd win here, I'd win here, I'd win here. We'd go to a different room. He'd keep coming, and like 15 minutes later he still wants to fight. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, aren't we done? And then I just kind of like let him come, and then like all of a sudden he's like wrestling me, and I'm on the bottom. Like, fuck this. Like, I don't have time for this. I don't have patience for this. And you just end up fighting his kind of fight, and that's what happens. And then
the zombie that keeps coming.
Before you know it, like, you're no longer winning, and you're fucked. And that's going to be the problem here for Alvarez. It's like, I don't know. It's very hard to see. Even when Gaethje's hurt, he recovers. Like, he's kind of like Korean Zombie in that regard. He's just a different kind of dude, and there's really no one like him. And he's going to be fun while that chin holds up, because he's certainly hittable, and he's been hit, and he gets hurt, but he recovers. But one day that chin's going to go out, and he's going to be a shell of himself. But you just don't know when that's going to be, and I guess that's the danger of betting him as like a big favorite in any bout, because it could happen almost at any time. But if it doesn't, he's probably going to win against Alvarez, who's been hurt in fights before. Alvarez has been finished, a few times now, like a Chandler bout, the Conor McGregor bout, and you just have to think that Gaethje's the more likely to finish in this bout, where there's going to be big shots landed on both sides. So I'll take Justin Gaethje to win. Am I super confident in it? No. Am I confident Gaethje wins? Yeah, I would say so. We saw all the damage that Dustin put on Eddie Alvarez in their last bout, and you think Justin Gaethje is going to be even more aggressive than Dustin wasn't when they fought. So I would expect more of that, and for Justin Gaethje to get the job done. And what should probably be the fight of the night. Moving on up, 3 fights left. We got the little man, the gold medalist, Henry Cejudo, taking on Sergio Pettis, and what is actually a pretty important flyweight bout. Sean, do you see any way Sergio Pettis wins?
I have a hard time seeing it. I really like Cejudo here. I maxed him at the opener at minus 230. The kind of leaps that Cejudo's made after that DJ fight when he lost, he made just a huge leap to arguably, in my opinion, beat Benavidez in their fight, and I had money on Benavidez. And then he took an even bigger leap when he fought Wilson Reyes and just beat the brakes off of him. He's doing this against elite guys, whereas Pettis, I mean, he seems like he's getting better, but he's fighting Chris Carriazo, Chris Calades, John Moraga, Brandon Moreno. Like,
ladies.
Hey, ladies. Yeah, the competition is just so much tougher against Cejudo. Pettis is still a guy who got knocked the fuck out by Ryan Benoit, you know. I've never really seen anything from Pettis. I know there's some hype around him. He has a bit of a win streak going here. Like I said, those aren't against very, very elite fighters. But Cejudo's hands, his wrestling, it's very, very good. I'm pretty confident in Cejudo, and I think he finishes Pettis.
Dougie, do you see a finish?
I am not sure about a finish. I think a points handicap would be fairly safe, like a Cejudo -3.5.
How does he lose?
I don't see a real clear path for Anthony Pettis.
Sergio. But yeah.
I mean, Sergio.
I'm not sure either wins, though.
But
we talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. It's just like a horsepower thing. And then when Cejudo decides to take him down, Pettis plays a bottom game, and he's never going to sub him. He's not even going to get close. So he's always going to lose that exchange also. And I just think that if they're trading punches and kicks, Cejudo's just counts for about twice as much. And at this point, he's probably a better stand-up fighter anyway. So it wouldn't even matter if it's a wash. But I don't see what Pettis is going to do.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I got Cejudo an A and Sergio Pettis a C+. So a big difference in talent here. Pettis is a fairly good stand-up. He had a decent win over Brandon Moreno, where he kind of outworked him. But this is a totally different beast. So he's not taking Cejudo to the mat. That's pretty much an impossible thing to do. And Cejudo's hands have gotten so good. I mean, this is a guy that outstruck Joseph Benavidez in their bout and was robbed of a decision against him. He's the second best fighter in this weight class, in my opinion. And I'm really struggling to see how Pettis could win this bout. He's not subbing him. I mean, is he really going to land something on the feet that's going to catch Cejudo and force him to quit? I don't see it. So it could be either Cejudo hands or he can take him to the mat repeatedly. I mean, he's got such a massive advantage in the grappling aspects here that, I mean, I don't see any way that Sergio Pettis stuffs takedowns. I mean, Cejudo could take him down pretty much at will. And this line is kind of a joke. I mean, let's be honest here. Cejudo is currently minus 255. I mean, really?
Yeah, I thought it'd be mid 300s myself.
Yeah. So right now, the last two fights on the card that we'll be talking about, both favorites are heavier favorites than Cejudo, and I think we would all agree here that Cejudo has a better chance of winning than those two guys do. Mm-hmm. I don't see how there's any way around it. This Cejudo should probably be lined into the minus 400s here. He's probably got, in my opinion, an 85% chance to win. Outside of we did see some that weird law, the way he lost to Mighty Mouse is always a minor cause for concern, just because it was I quit. You don't know just how tough he really is if he gets into a situation, but he's just so dominant offensively that it's so rare for him to even be put in that situation. If that makes sense. So I like Cejudo here a lot. I have him parlayed with Howboy. I got that at minus 108. I think that's now even there's a line on Howboy's come down. That's going to be that's a plus money bet, and I believe Nushan is also the second leg of our parlay, right? Or consensus parlay.
Yep. The parlay of Howboy Oliveira at minus 200 and Henry Cejudo at minus 255 gets to plus 109.
That's a bargain. A real bargain. Moving on up, co-main event and a huge heavyweight fight. One that people have been clamoring to see for a good bit of time. Francis Ngannou, West's favorite heavyweight, maybe of all time, against Alistair Overeem. If Ngannou wins, he's getting the next title shot. Big fight here. Nushan, who do you see winning?
Likely Hawgonnou, but I'm a little more reserved than our friend Wes and some others. This is still heavyweights, and Overeem is just so much more seasoned than Hawgonnou. Ngannou's power is obscene. If he lands on Overeem, it's going to be a nap a long nap for Overeem, and Overeem's had a lot of those, so that is likely what happens. Ngannou is now minus 260. It's getting up there, especially heavyweights. I lost a shit ton of money betting against Overeem with JDS, and now I'm a little bit gun shy betting old heavyweights. But so I'm passing on this fight. I hope Ngannou wins, just so we have some fresh blood going for the title. I guess Overeem's best chance is to kind of do what he did against JDS, be very, very patient, strike from the outside, and just wait for Ngannou to overcommit and then just try to catch him coming in. We'll see if that happens. I think Ngannou just puts him out.
Could be. Dougie.
Yeah, I'm not betting this, but everything points to Ngannou knockout. Just Overeem having a bad chin, it having to be a stand-up fight. I don't think Overeem can get. I don't know if Overeem can get him down. I guess if Overeem can figure his rhythm out, he can start setting traps for him. But even so, I think even if Hawgonnou clips him, he's probably going out. So you're playing with too much fire. But again, I've been burned by heavyweights too much. I just kind of usually stay away from heavyweight fights unless I have a real good feel on it. But these guys are both talented.
Are you done there?
Yeah.
I got Ngannou an A-, Overeem a B+. It does feel like kind of like a changing of a guard type of fight, and a fight like the UFC's desperate for Ngannou to win to build him into the star they want him to be. Overeem has become super tactical though. Over his last few fights, obviously he's aware of his kind of chin issues, and we haven't really seen Ngannou tested. I mean, people keep talking about this one time, like Curtis Blades like landed this jab and it kind of pushed Ngannou back and then like stumbled him, and it was like that makes him like he's got his glass chin, which is nonsense to me. But it's certainly the best fighter Ngannou has faced, and that's always going to be a challenge, especially as you kind of jump from level to level. But if he does land on Overeem, he's just so much faster at this point, and he's going to go for the kill. I mean, it's hard to see Ngannou not finishing Overeem. If we look at the Overeem's last bout where he got dropped by Verdum, there's zero chance that Ngannou doesn't finish there, where Verdum had 2 minutes and couldn't do it. I mean, Ngannou would have finished. End of story. He's just way physically stronger and hits a lot harder. So I'm going to take Ngannou here by knockout. But you do have to worry a little bit. I mean, there's just the line is definitely kind of pushed out of my range for wanting to make a bet here. Main event in a rematch that probably shouldn't have happened, but here we are. Jose Aldo trying to get his featherweight championship back, taking on current champion Max Holloway. Thoughts here, boys? Nushan, first up.
This is going to be a tough one. I've always liked Aldo. I think he's just one of the most skilled MMA fighters ever. But he's kind of had 2 bad beatings in the last 3 fights. He looked good early against Holloway, but Holloway kind of took everything that he was able to throw. Aldo didn't use his leg kicks. I think he has to in this fight. The problem with that is you throw your leg kick, you get countered. And that's probably what Max has been working on since this fight got announced. The line is pretty high. I know Holloway likely, out cardios, takes whatever Aldo throws in the first couple rounds, takes over and kind of does what he did last time. I'm probably just going to have to sprinkle if Aldo gets anywhere closer to 3-1 underdog, just for the simple fact that he has such unreal skills that I don't know. But his chin, it's tough. Holloway's likely going to win, but at the odds, I might have to sprinkle on Aldo.
Dougie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I could even sprinkle on Aldo. I feel like it's one of those situations where it's probably going to be a worse beating than the first fight.
So it's going to be like Barao versus Dillashaw.
Yeah, I think it's it's one of those things where we weren't sure if Holloway could do it. And then he, like, really did it. And then now they've got to do it again, and you just can't really see a clear path for Aldo anymore after we've seen what Holloway can do and what doesn't feel like anything's changed. So I don't really ever feel comfortable laying that much against Aldo just because, again, he is so talented and anything can happen in MMA. So it's a pass, but it just, I think Holloway's going to probably beat him up.
Yeah, I got Aldo an A+, and Holloway an A++, and I'm really struggling to see how this fight's any different than the first bout, where maybe Aldo comes out decently strong again early on, and then at some point, it's, he's gonna, conditioning is his Achilles heel, and Holloway is like the exact, kryptonite for that because his game is completely founded on volume, combo striking, and conditioning. He's relentless, and that's where Aldo really struggles. It's hard to see him kind of winning rounds at a minimum. And as he kind of starts to wear and slow down, Holloway's going to land, and he's probably going to hurt Aldo, who's his chin has been susceptible in recent bouts as he's taken more damage, and he took a ton of damage in that bout against Holloway. And now they're doing it again. Just first fight back. It's just like it's not a great scenario for Aldo, who's, going up against, a guy who's already been beaten off badly too, and is a guy that, has a really, really good chin, like one of the best in MMA, like rarely hurt in bouts. So how does he win? Is he going to win a decision against this guy? Is his conditioning all of a sudden going to become amazing? He's going to be able to fight like he does in the first round, like he does in the fourth and the fifth round? I don't see it. I really don't. And this is like about, like, I really want to bet Holloway, and I'm like, I keep seeing the line. It's like over -3. I'm like, I don't know if I want to bet it. Like, there's better bets. Like Cejudo, I think, is the best bet on the card. But, like, it's like, man, like, how do I not bet this? Because, like, it's just like, how does Aldo win? Like, it keeps coming back to that, but, like, if you don't have a scenario to win, like, I understand the guy, beats pretty much every other fighter in this division, but against this guy, it's just not going to work. His game just doesn't work. So I like Holloway here, either by wide decision, 4 rounds to 1, or, Holloway kind of finishes mid to late in this bout.
Holloway inside is -120.
That's certainly a possible bet. That's probably I think that happens, and it probably should be like higher, like -160, -170. But would it could be completely surprise you if it went to a decision and Aldo just like loses 49-46 across the cards?
I think Holloway's a madman enough that he doesn't give a fuck and he'll go for the finish.
I don't know if Holloway loses this decade again. I've said this before. He's the type of guy, even in a deep weight class like this, it's just hard to find a scenario where there's going to be a guy who's going to be able to beat him. I haven't seen that fighter yet in that weight class. But we'll see. I guess I don't want to say Zabit. No, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Let's see him fight someone with a chin first. Ortega is just interesting because of his submission game, but Ortega's like a dude who can somehow like get that guillotine in on anybody and like kind of stun them, like kind of a shock win. Yeah. But anyone else, it's unlikely. It really is. So I like Holloway. I'll probably end up having some money on it at the end of the day, but nothing yet. I think that does it for this week's MMA analysis. I guess I'll ask you guys one question, just to close the show. If you had to make a prediction, let's make the prediction now. When does Conor McGregor fight in MMA next? Give me a month and a year. New Sean.
July 2018.
Okay.
The fight week one. The big card.
Yeah, okay. Dougie?
I was going to say the Super Bowl weekend one.
February.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with March, because that one's, I think the one in February is in Australia, and the one in March is in Vegas. March 3rd, I think, is the date. So that's my guess. And I have a feeling I could see it being Tony Ferguson. I could see that happening. And then the fight with St. Pierre happening in the summer. If that's the way I think it's going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if Nushan's right and it just ends up being St. Pierre in the summertime. We'll see.
Diaz.
Oh, God, again. In the summer?
Yep.
Nate's waiting.
Yep.
Or is it going to be Nick?
No, Nick's too busy in Vegas getting paid to
What is he
hang
doing?
out. He just hangs out at the DJ clubs and fucking gets paid. It's a pretty sweet life. Just smoke weed and go to a fucking club in Vegas like 4 days a week.
Nick. Anyway, that is our show this week. Like we said, 2 fight cards this week. First one, not so great. A couple interesting fights on the undercard. But certainly Saturday's UFC 218 in Detroit, all those televised bouts, there's definitely some interest in pretty much all 9 of those bouts. Definitely something to look for. And would definitely recommend, checking out that card if you are on the fence. So, check that out, and we'll be back next week. I believe the fight card after that is headlined by Brian Ortega and Cub Swanson, I think. So that should be a pretty good fight card.
Yep.
Is that the one in Winnipeg?
No, the next card is in Fresno. Yeah.
Are you going to the Winnipeg card, by the way?
No, it's fucking Winnipeg in December. Are you insane? It's probably going to be minus 30. And I'll actually be in Palm Springs that weekend for a buddy's wedding. So.
Is that Fahrenheit or is that Celsius?
That's it. At that temperature, they're like the exact same. It's fucking cold.
Yeah, I guess. All right, so 2 fight card. We'll be back next week. Have a good one.